Hey guys, it's Timmy and Christina once again. Today we're going to talk to you guys about coexisting, like introducing your dogs to other people, introducing your dogs to other dogs, teaching your dogs to leave everything alone, like distractions in public, distractions in your house, whatever the case may be. And then also talk a little bit about teaching new behaviors, like teaching new commands, how to teach your dog to sit or lay down or whatever. Just the basics. We're not going to go too
in
crazy.
depth, yeah.
But, so, let's talk about coexisting. So, coexisting is teaching the dog to deal with everything else that's going on around them. If you're walking down the road, there's a lot of cars, there's other people, other dogs, and whatever. We just want the dog to leave everything alone.
Yep.
Pay attention to us. We're the leader. We'll show you where to go. You just follow us. That's it. Why do we want the dogs to coexist?
They have to understand that there's more than just them in the world, whether it be humans or other animals.
Yeah, so if we just teach them to leave everything alone, then now they aren't paying attention to all those distractions going on around them.
Right.
All they're paying attention to is us, which prevents that reactivity of the dogs barking, lunging, growling, whatever, because they're just like, all right, well, my leader's saying everything's fine, so, all right, everything's cool.
Right.
We're just going to leave that alone. We're going to keep walking. But if they're allowed to look at all these other things and fixate on it and build arousal, then that reactivity is going to start to show up. So, what do? As soon as that arousal starts showing up,
We correct it right away.
we got to squash it right at the beginning.
Yep. And there's signs that let you know when your dog's becoming aroused. Ears are perking up, the dog is paying more attention to a certain direction, they may stop walking.
Their breathing changes sometimes. Yep. You might hear a growl, you might see the fur raising up.
Yep.
Just imagine anything that's different than how the dog normally is. So you're just walking down the road, everything's fine, and then the dog snaps his head this way. You're like, okay, that's not normal. He's definitely staring at something.
Right.
So now you know that something's different. So
he's interested.
Yeah.
He's aroused by whatever distraction is happening at the time. So as soon as you see those behaviors change in your dog, that's when you need to do your correction. And it can be as simple as a
prong collar correction.
Yeah.
Could be an e-collar correction.
Yeah.
You can even give a warning beforehand, vibration or tone, just to kind of snap them out of that mindset real quick. Like they start to get aroused by something and they hear a tone. Well, they know that normally the tone is followed up by a correction. So they're like, all right, I don't want corrected, so I'm going to stop doing that.
Right.
Or the vibration feeling or whatever. If you guys are consistent with that, then that's a good warning for the dog. Hey, knock it off. If you continue, you're going to get stimulated and it's not going to feel great.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, though, if you tone and they quit the behavior, but in a couple of seconds they go back to being aroused or interested in the distraction, you need to correct right away. Don't give another warning sign. Don't tone them. Yeah, they don't tone them twice. Tone. If they do it again, correct. Let them know that you mean no, basically.
Yeah. Your tone has to have meaning just like your words have to have meaning. When you tell your dog no, they need to listen to no. And they need to know, all right, no means if I keep doing it, I'm going to get corrected and it's going to suck.
Right.
So, be strict. That's the biggest thing is be strict.
Stay consistent on your correcting and stay consistent in making sure your dog knows that you mean no. Yes, I'm going to give you warning signs. However, if you're going to continue, then I'm going to correct you and it's not going to feel good.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep that consistency and Your dog's always going to respect your warning signs.
Yeah.
And they're going to understand, okay, well, if I continue, I know that my owner means
So
no.
how many times have you guys had to say no to your dog like 5 times in a row? Or press the tone button like 5 times in a row? And the dog's just like, you know what? Screw you.
Yep.
I'm going to keep doing what I want to do.
Yep.
And I don't really care what you say.
Yep.
Well, that's because your words don't have enough meaning to the dog. Like, when you say no, your dog's just like, well, what are you going to do about it? Oh, you're going to tell me no again?
Yep.
All right, watch this. I'm going to keep digging, or whatever they're doing. So, we want to give our words and our warnings meaning. Make sure that you follow them up with a correction. But, back to the coexisting. So, how do we work on making the dog coexist? We have to, 1, correct arousal. 2, we need to teach the dog to leave the distractions alone. So,
Right.
for that, make the dog know a command very well with very little distractions present. In your house, you're teaching your dog's place or downstay or whatever. So now they get really good at downstay when there's nothing going on.
Right.
So now start to introduce some distractions. The vacuum cleaner.
Yep.
Throwing a toy around them or whatever. And if they
Bouncing
get
a
up.
ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Having kids run around playing is
Oh,
a
yeah.
good one. Yeah, just create your own distractions in home first before trying to do like public stuff, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah, they need to be really successful in the distraction-free commands first. And then after they're really good with those, then we start to implement the distractions. And we can add more and more distractions as they go. But at first, usually what happens, the dog gets up.
Yeah.
So you bounce a ball, you run the vacuum or whatever, and the dog gets up and wants to run away from that or run to the toy. So then we can apply pressure to have the dog lay back down, or we can correct them for getting up. Whatever method is working best for you and your dog. Different dogs respond better to
correction.
Yeah, different types of corrections or pressure.
Yeah.
So once we start to implement those distractions, we can take our dog out in public where now the distractions are like everywhere. And now there's other dogs that we're walking past or that are walking past us while the dog's in a downstay. We take a lot of dogs to Lowe's and Home Depot because they're dog friendly. The store is dog friendly.
So there's other dogs in there. Yeah. There's people, workers, there's machines,
Loud
forklifts.
noises.
Yep.
Loud noises are a big one.
Yep.
I've had a lot of dogs that are scared of like trash cans and stuff because the wind blows them over and when we're walking past and they think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And what do? I just keep walking like nothing happened. Yep. Because I want to show the dog that I'm confident in the situation.
Right.
Everything's fine because I say it's fine. Just follow me. Don't worry about that trash can. It ain't going to hurt you.
Yep.
But if I try to have a conversation with the dog, they're not going to understand. So my conversation is keep walking and correct.
Right.
Show your confidence.
And we've said this in previous episodes about dogs only know what we teach them anyways. So Timmy was talking about how dogs communicate by body language. If we continue to just walk when there's a loud distraction or a noise or a dump truck or kids playing or dogs running around barking in a fenced-in area, if we just walk and don't show any attention to it, then the dog's going to do what we do because they already read off of body language anyways. So we don't really even have to talk to them. Yeah. Just continue to walk. If they start to react, we correct.
Yeah. Or if they show arousal, that change of behavior.
Yep.
They start to look at those barking dogs that we're walking past.
Yep.
Correct the stare before it gets to the barking.
Right.
Because if you correct the arousal, a lot of times you prevent the barking, lunging.
What do you call it? The explosion stage?
Explosion phase.
Yeah.
So we have the arousal and the explosion. So we want to prevent that explosion from happening. So we keep walking, we correct, and
stay confident.
Yeah. Keep confident for the dog.
Yeah.
So that's coexisting with loud noises, distractions in public, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But how about coexisting with like new people? Like you bring a new dog into your house,
right?
And you already have your dogs there, so you want the dogs to coexist with the new dog.
Yeah.
Or a stranger comes into the house, a stranger to the dogs, not necessarily a stranger to you, comes into the house. You want the dogs to coexist with the person.
Right.
So how would you go about making the dogs coexist with both of those?
Humans?
Yeah, humans or dogs, either way.
Well,
start with humans, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so if I have company over and my dogs are out of their kennels, then I typically make them go to place.
Yep.
And they are on place for quite some time, typically, before I release them to meet the new individual. So I'm basically letting them relax on place. I am letting my dogs know that this is okay. I'm fine with this person being in our home.
Yep.
There's no reason for you to do any kind of reacting. There's no reason for you to do anything, really. I want you to stay on place, and I'm letting you know that this is okay. After everything is calmed down and, the anxiety of a new individual coming into the home, calms down, then after some time I'll let them off place, and typically they're pretty good about not reacting or showing any kind of like arousal.
Yeah,
they might go over and sniff them a bit and, just to kind of introduce themselves, I guess. Or say
So the environment settled down at that point.
Right.
So now the dogs realize, all right, this guy's not so bad after all, or this girl's not so bad after all.
Right.
But if you have a dog who has tendencies of like growling, barking at people, that kind of stuff, then you can do the same method, but now we want to like tie the dog back, tie them to the place bed or something, so that if they do break place, there's
something, stopping them from reacting so quickly or like getting close to the individual, or I don't know really exactly what I'm trying to say, but
safety is
you don't want them to bite anybody.
Right. Safety is the most important thing. So we're teaching our dogs to coexist with people, but we know that there's that chance because the dog's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
So let's keep them tied back, and if they stay on place and don't break it, I mean,
awesome. Yeah.
Cool. The leash is just there. It's loose the whole time unless they try to get up.
Right.
But it's never a bad idea to have that leash on there for those circumstances. So then, a lot of times, like she was saying, when you let the dog off a place, they'll just kind of like come up and sniff the person or whatever because they've already determined like, all right, this guy's not so bad after all.
Right.
So what about new dogs?
New dogs, you typically want to walk them in like one in the front, one in the back. Do that for a couple of minutes and then kind of switch places maybe, or like walk side by side.
Yeah.
Let them know like this is okay. There's no reason for you to react. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with the humans, only you're walking a dog with another dog.
Right.
But I would definitely start off with like a little bit of distance in between, especially if you have like a dog that is, reacting or doesn't really care for other dogs.
Yeah. And she means one owner in front with one dog.
Yeah.
The other owner in the back with the other dog.
Yeah.
And
sorry,
then slowly.
I wasn't specific.
No, that's okay. I didn't want somebody to be like envisioning like, all right, I'm going to have a long leash on this dog and then a short leash on this dog. One's in front. No, we want two different people. Oh, yeah, you want
two different,
and then slowly close that distance.
Yeah, sorry, yes.
Just in case.
Yeah.
So then, after they start to kind of deal with each other and whatnot, maybe it takes a couple walks. Then we can start to let them kind of get closer to one another. Yeah.
I would definitely take your time. This is not something that I would rush. Like, okay, we've been on a 2-minute walk. Like, let's walk side by side. Like, Let's walk a minute and then slowly, walk side by side. And then maybe the person that was in the front can, move up to the front and just kind of like basically take a nice walk all together. Let them know that they're both there.
Yep.
You know, let the one dog know that the other dog is there and vice versa.
And then we can bring it into the house. Remember we were talking about have the dog on place for other people. Well, why not put the dog on place and then have the other dog come in and just keep the distance a little bit far away. Slowly let it get close to one another. And maybe they'll start to like sniff each other as the one walks past the place bed.
Yep.
But the environment will start to settle down a little bit, and the dogs will realize, all right, these guys aren't so bad after all.
Right.
But a lot of dog fights are started because owners are holding the dogs nose to nose, tight leashes on both sides, and a tight leash creates a couple things in the dog. One, it creates drive. The dog wants to pull against it. And that, in turn, can cause arousal in the dog. So, we were talking about arousal. We want to squash it before it gets to that barking, lunging, whatever. So, if we're building arousal, then we are basically pushing the dog towards the barking and lunging.
Right.
So, we don't want to do that. Instead, it's better to just walk them together, let the dogs coexist with each other in a controlled environment instead of doing this nose-to-nose thing. And the way that I explain it to people is this way. So imagine a police canine handler is holding a leash and the canine is pulling against the leash. He's got that drive. And the police canine handler is about to send the dog to the bad guy. So what does the police canine handler do? He pulls harder on the leash. Why? Because it's amping the dog up. Yep. He's getting more and more driven, and that arousal's building, and he just wants to bite this guy.
Right.
So then, as soon as it's time to drop the leash, he drops it, and that dog goes, and he bites.
Yep.
So the handler did it on purpose. He's just amping that dog up. Because that's what the dog was is meant to do.
Yeah.
But do we want our pet dogs to get all amped up like that?
No.
No. So I want you to imagine this. The same scenario, but that canine now has a prong collar on. And the handler's holding the leash on the prong collar. So now the dog starts to pull, to want to create that drive. And the canine handler just goes pop, pop, pop on the leash, on that prong collar.
Right.
What's the dog going to do?
He's going to pull back. He's not going to...
Yeah.
He's not going to continue to pull against it because at that point he's like, oh, what was that?
That didn't feel good.
Feel good. Right.
I'm not going to keep pulling against that.
Right.
So, let's take that into perspective of the pet dog once again. If we pop, pop, pop on that prong collar or remote collar correction, then now we are squashing that arousal and the dog's not getting amped up.
Right.
So, long story short, no nose-to-nose meet and greets.
Right.
We want the dogs to coexist with each other in a controlled environment.
It's calm. It's more calm that way.
Yeah.
You let a dog come into another dog's home and instantly let them go nose to nose. Like, there's already tension there.
Right. They're like, who are you? What are you doing in my... This is my house.
So they're already on defense. Like, there's tension, there's that drive, and there's that arousal. We don't know what they're thinking. Like, you take them on a nice, calm walk. Like, let them slowly get used to their smell and, you know, being there around them. It makes it so much easier. And, you know, the more confident that we stay in the situation, the dog is just, it's just calmer. It doesn't create all that extra tension and drive and arousal that we've been talking about. It just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot of times a neutral environment can help too. So let the dogs meet in a neutral environment after you've walked them together and maybe had them on place at the park or whatever and had the other dog walking nearby. Because now you don't have that little bit of resource guarding, like, this is my house.
Yep.
What are you doing here? So that might help as well. But let's go back to the introducing people really quick, since I'm talking about the neutral environment. It's another thing that you can do is if you're out and about with your friend or whoever it is that you want to introduce the dog to, then that person can actually grab the leash from you and just walk the dog away. Just kind of walk the dog around.
Yep.
And when the dog is in its own environment, trying to go up to it and grab the leash might not be a good idea. But when you're out in public,
on neutral grounds, it's a lot. The dog is already like, okay, I'm out somewhere where I've, probably never been before. Mm-hmm. I don't really feel like it's my job to do any resource guarding or, doing the protective, behavior. So it does make it a little bit easier. I had a client that I was working with, and that's how I took their dog. They had a lot of like reactivity, and they resource guarded the owner quite a bit, and I just walked up behind her, grabbed the leash, and continued walking. The dog didn't react to me. He didn't,
because that trigger was, or that high value object, which is the owner, was removed from the picture.
Right.
So now it's just Christina and the dog.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I have nothing to protect. Who are you? This is weird, but all right.
Right.
I'll deal with it, I guess.
And it's still, that confidence needs to come into play still, too. Mm-hmm. Because regardless if you're the pet owner or just another human, like, they still can feel your energy as well. So if you're nervous and anxious about being introduced to a new dog, they're definitely going to know, like, they're going to feel that feeling, too. Yeah. Which then, in return, is going to make them feel anxious and, I need to be alert. I need to be on guard.
Yeah. And a couple things to remember. Your dog really doesn't need to meet anybody else.
No.
And your dog doesn't really need to meet any other dogs.
Nope.
Like, it's just not natural for them. So, don't go out of your way to introduce your dog to a bunch of people, because you are just going to create some nervousness. Mm-hmm. You might start to create a little bit of reactivity, like, not necessarily in a terrible, like, barking, lunging way, but it could get to that point. But at first it's going to be, oh, I'm all excited because there's someone walking by. I want to go get attention from them. And they're pulling away from the owner and not caring what the owner's saying.
Right.
So the owner's trying to correct the dog, but they're like, no, screw you. I want to go get attention from them.
Yeah.
And I want my dogs to just pay attention to me. I don't care about Bob and Jill walking down the road this way that you want attention from. They probably don't even want to pet you anyway. So just listen to me. So remember that. They don't need to meet anybody. And if they get to the point where they are getting nervous about people walking up to them and petting them and stuff, you can start seeing that reactivity will start to build. Mm-hmm. And they'll start growling at people that start to get close. And if they're not corrected for that, that's going to lead to barking. That's going to lead to lunging. And it's just going to get worse and worse. So I usually tell people, don't pet my dog, please. If I'm walking out in public. Now, I have a dog that absolutely loves kids. Like, her favorite thing in the world is kids. So I'll take her to my son's baseball games and stuff. And all these kids will walk up and want to pet her, and she just absolutely loves it. So I will let that go sometimes.
Yeah.
But
to a certain extent, though, you want to still be the one in control of the environment, basically. So yeah, let your dog enjoy what she likes to enjoy, but at the same time, after so much, enough is enough, basically.
You need to definitely set boundaries as well. Like, all right, she's had enough. She's starting to get kind of anxious, worked up, whatever. She just needs to lay down for a little bit. Please don't pet her right now. Okay. And if I'm walking through a store or something and someone wants to pet her, I usually say no. I'd rather you not, because I don't want to have to pay that medical bill if something happens.
Right.
Like, if they just go too fast toward her to pet her, and she's like, "Whoa, don't know you."
Right.
Bit your hand.
Yep.
And now I got to pay for someone's stitches when I could have just said, no, I'd rather not.
Yep. And, 90% of the time, though, people out in public normally ask, hey, can I pet your dog? And sometimes the dog won't even allow it anyways.
Yeah.
I had another client. We were out in public, and this old lady was on like a little scooter, and she was like, "Oh, your dog's so beautiful," and like kind of stuck her hand out, and the dog like completely avoided her and like went all the way around. Like, I don't even care to meet you, lady. Like, just leave me alone. Yeah. But 90% of the time, they're going to be understanding. They're not going to like pressure you or press the issue.
It's just not worth it to me.
Yeah, especially if you have a dog that's not so friendly. You just never know how your dog is going to react to an outsider. Yeah. So,
and what's the benefit? Yeah. I mean, honestly, is it for the dog? Because we've talked about human affection and what it does to dogs.
Yep.
So, it's not for the dog. It's for the person that's petting the dog.
Yep.
It's like their own, I don't know.
Satisfaction, whatever.
So, if they are just like pressuring you, I mean, it's best to just say no and walk away. And if they're going to reach in and try to pet the dog after you say no, I usually just like put my hand up like, no.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah.
And I've really had some people pressure me. And I just have to stick to my guns. Like, I know why I'm saying no. I understand that you're a nice person, and I appreciate it. But the answer is no.
Yes.
So, long story short, again, they don't need to meet other people. They don't need to meet other dogs. They just need to listen. That's it.
Yeah. They just need to learn that no matter what, there's other things out there.
Yeah.
Is it something that they have to react to every time? Absolutely not. Let me do my job as your pet owner. Everything is okay. You don't need to react. You don't need to worry about that leaf blowing in the yard. Yeah. It's happening. There's stuff out there. You just need to learn to coexist with it. You just need to learn to understand that things are happening. You don't have to worry about it. Let me do my job as your owner.
There's going to be other people in the world. There's going to be other dogs in the world. There's going to be vehicles in the world.
Yep, distractions.
So, just leave it alone. Listen to me.
Yep.
That's the main thing. We just want our dogs to listen, right?
Absolutely.
So, that pretty much sums up
coexisting.
So let's talk about teaching new commands. What is a marker word, and why do we use marker words?
Marker word, I mean, for example, could be like yes, good boy, good girl. Those are like the only ones that I ever use, so I don't really...
I've heard people say thank you. Thank you's kind of cute.
I guess I have said thank you before, but not like, I don't know.
It's like prepping the dog for a reward. It's like, yes, good job. Here's a treat.
Yes.
So, dog does something good.
They respond too.
Yeah,
they know.
They perk up. They're like, ooh. But you have to teach them.
Yeah.
I mean, so at first, a lot of our training is just like, yes, treat, yes, treat, yes, treat, yes, treat.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We can sit there and do that for 30 minutes because when we actually start doing reps, now we say that yes word.
And they already know. Yeah.
They're all kinds of excited.
Yep.
So, teaching new commands is all positivity. 100%. There's zero corrections. It is just make the dog do it, marker word, and treat.
Yes.
I like to use clickers because they make the same sound every single time. And I could be in a really bad mood, and my yes could sound like yes. Good job. And
it's not necessarily about just the word. It has your tone makes a huge difference as well.
So if my tone is off, then the dog's not going to feel quite as excited about me doing a sit.
Yeah.
You know? So I like to do the click and the marker word. That way, every single time the dog knows you are doing a great job.
Right.
Like, so good. I'm glad that you touched your butt to the floor when I said sit. Good. Yes. And then the treat follows. So that is marker words and why we do those. But everything is either food rewards, toy rewards, praises, whatever is high value to the dog. Like we've had some dogs that just don't take treats.
Oh.
Actually,
many.
A lot.
Yeah.
And they just want to work for praise and attention, which is just fine. Like we've talked about limit human affection. You can do it for like warranting like warranted behavior.
Yeah.
So dog sits, good job. Now they get a nice pet on the head.
Right.
That's warranted affection.
Yes.
Unwarranted is just, hey, we're sitting on the couch and just stroking the dog nonstop.
So yeah, if you are, going to reward for, teaching new commands or whatever, go ahead, show him some affection.
Mm-hmm.
It's still something that he's going to enjoy. He knows that it's a reward.
Mm-hmm.
You're excited, you're petting him, you're talking to him, with a fun tone. And
yeah, I get all excited. I mean, I'm like, high pitch, good job, good boy.
Yep.
And it's just because the dogs love it.
Yep.
And
they definitely can tell the difference between like correction tone
right.
or praise tone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm doing something good. Yes.
Yeah, we try to get all excited so that they know that they're just doing the best job.
Yeah, the more excited, the better outcome, honestly.
But for like toy rewards, like my Malinois, they'll do anything for a tennis ball. Like anything. So I don't have to break out the treats. If I just have this ball in my hand and tell them down or shake or whatever I'm saying, then they're going to listen because they want that ball so bad. Mm-hmm. But I'm making them work for it, so it's like...
Yep, I make Morty work for it, too, every time. Normally, he always, like, puts the balls, like, underneath the couch or something, so that he'll, like, get up and, like, start searching for him and stuff, and I'm like, all right, buddy, you got to sit, and then I'll get your ball.
Yep.
But, yeah, they love their balls, too.
So every dog's going to be a little bit different on what reward that they want.
Right, so it might take some time to learn what they really enjoy so that, it's a more higher value reward. They're more driven because they enjoy that reward better than the other reward. Like, when they don't take treats, they're not as, like, excited to do the command. Yeah. So once you find out what your dog likes, then it makes things a little easier, too.
I trained a dog not too long ago who would do anything for whipped cream.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No.
So I just had a can of whipped cream and I was doing reps, letting him
That's
lick it out of my hands.
awesome.
And
yes.
he loved it. He absolutely loved it.
That's awesome.
But when we're teaching new commands, everything is positive, 100%.
Yes.
We can do pressure with like the prong collar at the same time or e-collar pressure, but that's just teaching the dog how to turn the pressure off too. So we're like accomplishing more than one thing at the same time. Teaching the dog to turn the pressure off and teaching the dog how to lay down or sit, whatever, at the same time. So we're pushing the butt down while we're giving a little bit of prong collar pressure. Butt hits the floor. Click, yes, food.
Yep.
Or click, yes, toy, whatever.
Okay.
We correct unwanted behaviors with corrections, with tools. So e-collar corrections, prong collar corrections, whatever that we're going to use. But we don't want to correct unwanted behaviors with food.
No.
So
that's just redirecting.
Yep, redirecting does not work.
And we talked about that previously as well.
Yeah, just teaches the dog that you are rewarding them for doing that unwanted behavior.
Right.
So we want to make it very black and white to the dog. Mm-hmm. You're doing a good job, so you get food or whatever is very interesting to you.
Right.
You are not doing a good job by chewing on my couch.
So I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable, basically, which is the correction. Prong collar, e-collar, but make it meaningful, like we were stating earlier.
Yeah. Black or white. It's good or it's bad.
Yes, right or wrong.
So when we're teaching commands, we do hundreds of repetitions for each command because we want the dog to know, like really, really know what this command means.
Right.
So that we can start introducing distractions to them and take them out in public and start working with these commands. But if we're just doing like 10 reps and then we take them out in public, they're probably not going to listen to that down command or whatever. Like we have to really ingrain it in their mind, like make it muscle memory.
Yep.
I say down, your elbows are going to hit the floor.
Yes.
I say sit, your butt's going to hit the floor.
Yes.
And that way, when comes to the time where we are taking them out in public, it's just second nature. So always have them like basically perfect in distraction-free environments. And then start introducing those distractions like we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
All right, so that sums up everything, really. Introducing dogs to your dog, introducing people, letting them coexist with both, teaching new commands,
Yep.
a little bit of correcting unwanted behavior stuff. And it's just, you got to be consistent with everything.
Yes, and lots of reps, especially when it comes to teaching the new commands. Just reps, 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 and even more reps.
Hundreds, like literally hundreds.
Yeah.
Like, don't be surprised if at the end of a week of you working with Down, you have 500 repetitions. Like, that's what you should have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But, yep, this is a short episode, I think, today. I thought that this was going to last a little bit longer, so hopefully you guys, send some more questions and let us know what you guys are thinking, and we can start doing some other stuff.
Yeah, we'll get some more episodes for you.
Absolutely.
Just keep bringing the topics in for us.
Yes. Any questions, concerns, or whatever, reach out to us on Facebook or, our website or whatever it may be, and we'll get some more information out to you guys.
Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.